Hey guys, here at OSMVTXRews.com. You're watching our video review of the Motorola QC Globo. This is the newer iteration of the Motorola Q, which actually runs on the GSM quad-band World Phone network. It actually, namely, is on contract with AT&T, and it's available for $199 with a 2-year service agreement. This is, of course, great news for Motorola Q enthusiasts who are always, kind of looking at the Sprint variant and growing envious and more envious by the second, because the Verizon and Sprint iterations have that CDMA network coverage of the original Q that couldn't be run on GSM networks such as AT&T or T-Mobile. Now, the latest iteration of the Q is interesting because the global versions of the Motorola Q are no longer quite the same of the original Q in terms of petiteness and attractiveness in terms of design. This device looks like it's taken on quite more weight and overall a thicker dimension portfolio from the original Q, which we found to be strange because the original Q really capitalized on the fact that it was the slimmest QWERTY keyboard smartphone on the market, and on this one it seems to be like one of the largest remaining devices out there. Motorola has really just kind of upped the size of this device and making it thicker, making it broader, and in essence I do think it's not as attractive as the original version was. However, it's supplemented by the fact that this device does have a faster processor, and it has a little bit more graphic support and more it's more of a powerful smartphone than the original one ever was. Taking a closer look at the design on the top of the device, we have a Motorola logo and an ambient light sensor, as well as a LED to indicate when the device is being charged. Below the 2.4-inch QVGA display, we have access to a 5-way navigation toggle. These buttons are also backlit, so under darker environments you'll be able to see them. They're backlit blue and they work pretty well. We also have 2 hotkeys, a home key, a back key, a AT&T to go to the web key, a talk and end key, and a email key. Interestingly, this is kind of still in the layout of the Motorola Razr, so it's kind of flush, very flush with the surface of the device. It gets a little bit tough to press, but it still is doable. Below that, of course, we have the QWERTY keyboard, which is actually, the main attraction of the show here. The keyboard on this device, I have to say, is one of the best vertical style QWERTY keyboards I've ever typed on any device, period. I think it's even better than most BlackBerry devices because the keys are just so large. Yes, the keys are not as domed as the BlackBerry keyboard, so perhaps in terms of, size by size, if this device was actually smaller, the keyboard was smaller, then perhaps the BlackBerry's keyboard would prevail. But the thing here is that these keys are just so large, even if you have fat fingers like mine, you'd have no issues at all with typing on it because the buttons are just really easy to press. They're tactile, they're huge, and Motorola did do a good job by, making sure, we expanded the size of this thing, so we're going to make the keyboard as large as possible. So inputting text for emails, for web browsing, for, quick MMS text messages are going to be like a breeze on this device, especially if you do a lot of productivity like Office, Excel, and PowerPoint editing with the built-in suite from Microsoft here. It's going to do really well. The left-hand side device features a micro USB for charging and syncing. Below this, we also have access to a micro SD card for expanding the memory for multimedia and for running new applications, as well as storing more memory. You don't necessarily need this, however. The device has a sufficient amount of built-in memory to actually run programs, install programs, and take pictures without having to put an additional third-party micro SD in here. Without a micro SD, device can still take about 500 to 600 pictures, which is pretty nice and a pretty cool feature. On the top of the right, there's a speaker, and on the right-hand side, there is a volume rocker that also dubs as a control panel. It replaces the original Motorola Q scroll wheel, so it basically does the same thing here. If I go to the start screen, for example, it's going to actually scroll through my list of applications. And to go into an application, I actually press the center key, which dubs as the OK button. The side here is also dubs as the voice command key. When I press down on it, it's going to allow me to search by voice, and I can call someone by voice or browse the web or launch an application by voice. The back of the device is actually covered in a layer of soft touch, which makes it very nice and easy to hold in the hand. It also doesn't attract a lot of fingerprints. It includes the main loudspeaker on the back. We also have a camera on the back, which is actually 2 megapixels. It's a fixed focus camera, but it has a LED flash for darker environments, and also it has a 6x digital zoom, which I found to be very cool. And the camera itself isn't the best in the world, but it has a lot of different settings, like again the flash and the zoom settings. So it's got a lot of editing tools on here that are pretty powerful. And so is the processor of this thing, so it's going to do a pretty good job overall of utilizing what it has to the best of its capabilities. Behind the back cover door, you'll find access to the SIM card slot, and you can exchange that if you do so. By getting the device unlocked, you can take it overseas. This is a quad-band GSM World phone. Now, in terms of main menu system, the device still runs Windows 6.1 standard. This isn't the smartphone edition because it doesn't have a touchscreen. Still, it's still a very smart user experience, albeit it's a little bit outdated in this day and age. You can see here that the screen could have been a little bit larger, but it is still fairly bright and vibrant and easy to see. As far as resolution is considered, we have a row of our frequently used applications on the top, our recently used applications, and down below here we have our SIM card information, voice messaging applications, and that's pretty much it. To go into our main settings, of course, we press the Start key. Now, I didn't really like initially how the AT&T web browser key is on the side here. I wish that the soft keys and the email key and the web key would have been reversed. I wish these two buttons would have been reversed, and the same thing over here, because typically when you're going through the menu system, you want to hit the key on the side here to go into the menus. But if you accidentally press this, it's going to take you to the web instead of going into the application. It takes a little bit of acclimation, but then you kind of get used to it. Again, messaging is the strongest suit on this device. It's the selling point of this product, and again, the processor churns around pretty well. The device here is running on a 426 megahertz processor, which we found to be sufficient for most tasks, even for browsing the web. Now, our major complaint with the Motorola QC Global is the same thing as the Motorola Q originally for Verizon service. There isn't Wi-Fi built in. There is Bluetooth, there is 3G, which is very good, but again, we really want that Wi-Fi capability, which most devices of the smartphone caliber have these days, and it's just a shame that Motorola didn't really listen to our critique and add that in. Again, you can do MMS, an email account. Everything is very easy to do, and setup is very sufficient. And as far as email and receiving emails, they're basically continuous and they're basically live. So whenever I send something onto this device, it receives this about the same time as it does on my laptop, which is pretty impressive. And again, typing on this device, again, it's a very easy experience, very tactile, very speedy, very fast, and there isn't much of a learning curve involved there. Going into the start system again, you can see we also have a calendar here. Basic applications are basically what we're seeing on most Windows Mobile 6.1 devices: contacts, Active Sync, AT&T Music, AT&T Cellular Video, which requires a monthly subscription fee, the MediaNet for browsing the web, and you might expect that. Speeds over 3G are pretty good. Of course, AT&T is sometimes a little spotty, so it can drop bars pretty fast, and you're not always in the fastest secure network, which is why we prefer Wi-Fi, but overall, it is a pretty decent experience for browsing the web. There's IM and email, call history, office tools, which includes the calculator, tasks, and the voice notes. The voice memos work pretty well as well. And we also have My Stuff, which is basically your multimedia games and applications. My Documents, which allow you to edit your documents and go through those accordingly. Pictures and videos, notes, storage card, and to personalize my queue with different settings and theme packages for your device. Of course, since this is a Windows Mobile 6.1 device, it runs the thousands, of third-party applications that are available from developers online. Even though the device doesn't have a per se app store, it has a lot of support. If you just are willing to look on Google, you can find a lot of free stuff. Games are pretty expected. You have Bubble Breaker, Solitaire, EA Scrabble Bat Blast is actually the one exception here that we haven't seen before. You can, of course, get new games directly from the device, which is pretty cool. Again, you can kind of waste a lot of time on this device. It is pretty good at entertaining you as well as being a workhorse. Actually, Opera Mobile is built into the device, which is a great decision because, again, 3G isn't the fastest, not as fast as Wi-Fi anyways, so it's pretty good that the Opera is built in because speeds are a lot faster using this web browser than traditional Internet Explorer. Applications, we kind of found this ironic that there would be another tab called Applications inside the menu of Applications, but it is there for some reason. We have a camera. Again, the camera I'm going to show you, pretty good. You can turn the camera flash on and off, and it's, again, very bright. It illuminates subjects quite well, and the flash is quite easy and very fast to actually capture images, and very easy to read them and then send them via Bluetooth or MMS, text message, or email. There's also MySpace Mobile built onto this device. There isn't a Facebook application, but you can download that for yourself. Telenav GPS Navigator is also on here for a monthly fee. Internet Explorer, Java, and also MyCast Weather, Speed Dial, Bluetooth, and Documents to Go. Of course, this is the main selling point here. You have the full version of Documents to Go, not just the viewer version. You can create PDFs, create sheets, create slideshows, create Word documents, and also it also has a zip file on here, so you can actually unzip compressed formats in order to see them and download stuff from the web. And again, it all works pretty well. This is a test. the keyboard is very easy to use. Again, the backlighting is blue, which is also quite cool in darker environments. And again, it's just very impressive. You can do all your main tasks you want to do on your PC or laptop on this device, since the keyboard is, again, just so good. So overall, again, with pretty solid phone quality, we found that battery life lasted around 2 days before I had to recharge it, which is sufficient. We wish it was a little bit longer, especially since it's a non-touchscreen handset with a smaller screen. But still, it's good enough for most folks, especially for productivity-oriented devices, corporate users out there. So the Motorola QC Global, I think, is an improvement over the original in terms of performance. It's a lot faster, it's a lot more sleeker, and the performance is overall better, especially with the fact that the keyboard is a lot stronger. But critiques still remain, including the fact that there isn't built-in Wi-Fi, which is quite disappointing, and the fact that this device is a lot more bulkier. It's not as sleek, not as sexy, not as appealing in terms of design as the original one. But overall, I think if you're looking for a vertical-style QWERTY keyboard device that runs on Windows Mobile, you can't really go wrong with this device, especially because it has that SIM card, quad-band GSM world phone support on AT&T network here in the US. Thanks for watching this video review of the Motorola Q9C here at osandvtxreviews.com. Thanks for watching.